Welcome back to the Igniting Dreams Within podcast, where we solve life and business problems that transform businesses and individuals into happier and fulfilled ones. Les Brown says that life is a fight for territory. And once we stop fighting for what we don't want will automatically take over. And as we are fighting for this territory, whether it's the territory of success in our relationships, whether it's the territory of success in our businesses, in our academics, in our personal life, once we stop fighting for what we don't want, the negative energy, what we don't want, the missed opportunities, they automatically take over. And I am reminded of an opportunity that I had once I finished my matric. And when I finished my matric, I made the decision that I am going to study at one of the best or the top institutions in South Africa. And making that decision, I went to Wits and I studied at Wits. And what I learned about myself in that studying, that was very powerful. What I learned about myself when I was studying at Wits, I discovered my life's purpose. When I was studying at Wits, I learned my strengths, my weaknesses. I knew how to discover me. I developed a sense of identity. And all that learning that took place, it took place because I had made a wrong career decision. I made the choice of the career that I was going to follow based on poverty. I come from a poverty-stricken background. And in my attempt to alleviate that poverty that had crippled us and the family, I wanted to study something that I thought would elevate poverty. But it might seem like it was going to elevate the poverty financially in my family. But while I was studying, I realized that the poverty that I was exchanging financial poverty for was far worse than financial poverty. Had I chosen to pursue that career path that I was pursuing of becoming an engineer, I would be poor in purpose. This Ebenezer that's talking to you right now, I would have not become that person that I needed to become. And the realizations, what I learned and everything that I learned in Wits has helped me become the man that I am today. And if at that moment when I had those learning opportunities to learn about myself, learning opportunities to learn about purpose, learning opportunities that I had to learn about even what I want and the contribution that I want to make in my life, had I missed that learning opportunity, I would be the poorest man alive today, even if I had a big fat balance in my account. And this week's episode, on part 3 of the Self-Leadership podcast, we are talking about learning opportunities. When you and I are making mistakes, or after we've made a mistake, we are presented with opportunities to learn about ourselves, to learn about the industry or the venture that we wanted to venture in. And I sit down again with Mr. Mafarafara, and we are continuing on learning opportunities. What do you do when you make a mistake? What are some of the opportunities that you'll be presented with after you've made your mistake that you could use to get better and better? And after we've spoken about the mistakes, we will talk about the adjustment. How do you make an adjustment in your life after you've made that mistake? Enjoy the episode. And looking back at this year, do you have maybe, I don't know if I should call it them mistakes or learning opportunities, that you wanted to do something, and then maybe instead of you doing that thing, it ended up maybe you made a mistake there and there. Do you have those mistakes that helped you, or some mistakes that you learned? There are some lessons that you learned from those mistakes.
I think so. I think so because there were 2 business opportunities that I was looking at. Okay. One, I'm still busy with it.
Okay.
But it's the whole year.
Okay.
Trying to get it, it's tough. But it's getting easier and easier, and it's a life lesson by itself. It's like a school. And then there's another business opportunity which I did not act much. I did not act fast.
Okay.
And then a few weeks later, I think a few days actually, I delayed a phone call.
Okay.
Yeah, and then after delaying a phone call, and then the landlord said, no, I've given it to someone else.
Okay, wow, okay.
Just I think I delayed by 3 days.
Okay.
That 3 days gave somebody else an opportunity. So don't make your weaknesses to be an advantage to somebody else.
Wow.
Be careful. Be careful. Be careful. And so I realized, no, I need to be diligent. And even the Bible says a diligent man will rule.
Yeah.
But a lazy man will be put to forced labor.
Yes.
And he will beg for it. I don't want to be a beggar.
Yeah.
No, I want to be a diligent man that works when I want to work. Yeah. But that 3 days of delay made me lose a business deal.
Yeah.
So that's what I've learned. And I think during the time I also learned there was a young man who was speaking on SAFM. Okay. And he said procrastination is like a credit card. It's nice to use it. It's difficult to pay it off. So I was at that space that I was laying off things.
Okay.
I was laying off things. But it's not all lost, man. It's not all lost. I think it's yesterday I was thinking to myself, and I needed to close a year in a different way, and I was like, okay, with the things that I've done, losses that I've had, achievements that I've had, what do I do? And one thing came to me, that life is like a soccer game.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, life is, and I used a soccer game as an understanding. Life is like a soccer game. You spend so much time in training and preparation for a 90 minutes show. You have, in you being able to play in the soccer game, whether you're a coach or a player, you have to build stamina and endurance. You have to develop tactics and methods and stuff like that, and styles. You also have to understand the opponent or the enemy. There's a book called The Art of War which teaches that. But in my understanding in my saying that life is like a soccer game, I learned that in the soccer game, there's a moment of planning and preparation.
Okay.
So if your planning was poor, you will also miss the moment of action.
Oh, yeah.
So that's why I missed that opportunity, because I had a poor plan.
Okay.
Your plan, it includes actions. Your actions includes time frames.
Yes.
So I didn't have those things. So that's why I missed. So 3 days felt like it's nothing until I lost. Then I realized 3 days was a lifetime.
Okay.
The second thing, it's even if you have a good plan, life is full of adjustments.
Okay.
So there's an adjustment before the game. There's an adjustment during the game.
Okay.
And in adjusting during the game, you adjust on different levels. You adjust because of a planned or intended adjustment.
Oh, yeah.
I'll give an example. You say, I'm gonna field 11 people in the game, but during halftime, I'm gonna remove one striker and put another for reasons known to the coach. That's an adjustment. I'm gonna change from 4-4-2 to 4-3-3, whatever. If the opponent plays like this is what I'm gonna do. So it's pre-planned adjustment.
Okay.
And then the other adjustment, it's time-dependent adjustment.
Okay.
That as long as I'm playing, I cannot adjust before this time.
Oh.
I can only adjust after this time.
Okay.
And it's usually related to circumstances.
Okay.
So you would have time-dependent adjustment or circumstance-dependent adjustment.
Okay.
The circumstance-dependent adjustment in a soccer game is when someone is injured.
Okay, yes.
During that moment, even if you had planned that you're gonna replace the striker at 45 minutes or after halftime. But if the middle fielder is injured, you stop the striker, you keep the striker in the game, you adjust and replace the middle fielder. So that's life.
Okay.
Sometimes you'll be driving in a particular way in your life, and something that you did not plan, you cannot fully plan life. No?
Oh, yes.
Something that you did not fully plan, that you did not prepare at all, you were not aware that it's going to happen, it happens.
Yes.
You need to learn to adjust.
Okay.
And that way you will not cry a lot if you miss an opportunity like I did.
Oh, yeah.
And then the other one, we were what you call the last minute adjustment.
Okay.
This becomes very critical. If you miss the last minute adjustment, you may miss the scoring line.
Okay.
Excuse me, in this way. In the last minute adjustment, I was listening to a story of a racer who said that his greatest losses or regrets in the driving race business was when he had an accidents multiple times, and when they investigated how the accidents happened, he said he was driving at full speed all the time.
Okay.
When you're driving at full speed all the time, it means you do not have time to slow down and check if you're driving right.
Oh, yeah.
So he had an accident and the car flew to a particular ditch. It took the whole day to find him. He didn't bend, but it took the whole day to find him because the place was inaccessible. And when they asked him, so how do you feel? He said, I feel so good because I had the full day to adjust my mind and to think. So the last minute adjustment happens when you are in crisis. When you have lost time. When you have lost an opportunity and you need to get an opportunity right now to regain the previous opportunity. And things like that. So the last minute adjustment are usually not planned, but they happened during the time of crisis, and they're very critical because they are also a measure of tactic or how tactical you can be in your life. And then lastly is what you call the forced adjustments. The forced adjustment is what they don't happen because somebody did inside your team. They happen because of external circumstances that are beyond your control. If you are in business and you are running in a particular market, it's the same thing that made companies like BlackBerry to be wiped off because they did not respond to forced adjustment. When other smartphone manufacturers came with hard competition, they continued creating a phone with a keyboard, with an external keyboard, and people needed a full touch screen with a wider screen, a certain smartphone with a certain capacity. You understand? It's the same thing that made some Nokia to start struggling. So when you don't respond to forced adjustments, you can miss it. And sometimes the forced adjustments are the ones that you really need. Are the ones that you really need. And I think it's the same thing that SAA is struggling with. That they did not respond to forced adjustments. When new airlines are entering into the market, they did not want to compete in that category. They wanted to maintain their status. But unfortunately, while they are maintaining their status, competitors are coming with better innovation, better technology, better customer service, and better different things. And it's an external environment that is forcing you to behave in a particular way in the market. And you need to do that. You need to adjust yourself when circumstances force you. You need to say, oh, I need to change. And then you do that. Then you do that. It's happening everywhere. With the fourth industrial revolution, a lot of things have to happen in terms of forced adjustments. And if you don't have the capacity to respond to that forceful adjustment, you're gone. You'll be wiped out. Yeah, no, this is very powerful. And you are even reminding me of maybe I'm trying to wonder if I missed some forced adjustments in my own life. But definitely I'll have some time to think about these adjustments, and I'll definitely give you feedback on that. And maybe so that we don't take too much time, do you also have some moments in your life where instead of you recognizing those times, you realized when it was late? Or you gave the example of that the business deal that you had. You were late by 3 days. But outside of business, maybe in terms of you personally, because if you and I, or if the audience and us, if we are going to succeed next year with regards to the plans that we have, there would be some adjustments that we would be making that the marketplace would be forcing us to adjust. But also even us personally,
there are some adjustments that we need to do. Maybe in terms of the family, the way that we are relating with our families, the way that maybe we might be relating with our children, the way that we would be. Do you also have got those adjustments in your life that when you were looking back at them and you making those adjustments, you realize that maybe this one I missed? Maybe it was in terms of you adjusting to the way maybe you would say, maybe, for example, you would have had related with your children. Or an adjustment that you should have had made with your wife so that maybe something doesn't happen that you would have avoided when you were adjusting. Do you also have got those things or some techniques or tools that you use to help you in terms of those adjustments?
I don't know if there's one like that at the moment. I can't think of one now.
Okay.
Maybe it's there. I can't think of one right now. But the lesson that I learned earlier, where I missed the 3-day opportunity by 3 days, helped me to think in a different way. Okay. That is why now I was sharing with you of the power of saying yes. And now I was teaching, I think it's 2 weeks ago, I was giving a keynote at the University of Limpopo, and I talked about the power of showing up. Okay. And one of the things that I said there, which will help you in terms of making sure you have less moments of regret, is that when an opportunity presents, jump in. Okay. When people are moving, follow. Okay. We're not saying that follow the pack. We're saying follow opportunities, follow circumstances. Because sometimes the circumstances may be very necessary for your sharpening. Okay. We're not saying dive in and just commit yourself inside. Follow circumstances, you understand what's going on in the world. Okay. You understand? It helps you to not miss certain opportunities. I had a conversation with someone who wanted to start a business. I don't know whether he was ready or not, but he wanted to start a business. He was working, and then he quit his job. Okay. Before the other business kicked in. So he quit his job, and I think at the time he was getting few odd, promises that it will work out. Okay. And then 3 months down the line, he realized, no, it's tougher than I thought. Yes. And then he had to start looking for piece jobs. Yes. It becomes difficult to get another permanent job now, because he lost certain opportunities. And then in conversation that I had him saying, I was saying, look, I wish I didn't quit my job. And I'm like, oh, wow. And that helped me to, when somebody else tells me that I want to quit my job for business, it helps me to advise them. Yes. There's another person that I know that I was trying to coach from a distance who was preparing for a business. And I said, look, I'm advising you, I don't have a business like you do. My business is not like yours. I don't need to quit anything. I can operate anywhere, anytime. It's easier. But you need to quit your day job to make that business to work. Okay. So instead of telling that person to quit the job, I said to that person, adjust your current employment contract. Okay. You are still employed permanently, but you work lesser hours than you are working now. And then you remove yourself from these things at overtimes and stuff like that, so that you can focus on that. Number two, I recommended a book by Robert Kiyosaki, the book that talks about before you retire, things that you need to do before retirement, and that person said to me, wow, this is one of the great books that I've read, because it made me to avoid mistakes. Yes, wow. Because they would have actually launched themselves into a deep end of problems. Yes. so for me now, what I've learned is the same thing that I said. Take time to think about what you're thinking about before you make the decision. Just check what is going to happen after the 10. Yeah. Because sometimes you want to 10 and you get a wrong 10. Yeah. So in the world today, we've got GPS. Yes. That GPS systems allows you to know how to see how the 10 is going to be. Yes. Use your own mental GPS. Every decision you will know whether it's going to be a sharp 10 or a smooth 10. Okay. You will always know. You just need to develop yourself as to how do you do that, which is a talk for another day. Yes. And as you are speaking, you are reminding me of one area of research that I'm getting deep into, especially this last few days up until maybe the earliest of next year, and it's basically most of it's in neuroscience. Okay. And
I was reflecting as you were telling me about branding. You mentioned about what I would want people to remember me with. And as you were speaking that, I'm reminded of it's Dr. Caroline Leaf. She's a brilliant neuroscientist, and she was here in South Africa, and because of other opportunities, she ended up leaving South Africa and going to stay in the United States of America.
Okay.
But most of her work and the experience that she got it working here in South Africa.
Okay.
And she talks about, mostly in her work, she talks about what do you think about, what do you feel, and what are the choices that you are making. If you are going to be going into a particular career or you are jumping into an opportunity, you need to be thinking right about that opportunity. And if you miss an opportunity, you miss the opportunity because you were not thinking right about that opportunity.
Most probably.
Yeah, and if you're also going to be jumping into an opportunity or taking on an opportunity, you need to be feeling a certain way.
Yes.
The way you are feeling about that opportunity would determine if you would be jumping into the opportunity or going to that opportunity, or if the way you are feeling it's not conducive or it's not beneficial, you'd be feeling a certain way, maybe negatively so about that opportunity. And then the last part would be now, because of the way you are thinking about it and what you are feeling, what would be the choice that you are making with regards to that opportunity? Are you taking the opportunity or are you missing that opportunity? My friends, sometimes we win and sometimes we learn. And it's in our learning where we get to see the learning opportunities as they are. And if you are there listening to this podcast and you are saying, Mr. Mamabolo, I've got a company or I've got a business of mine, that we have been through our fair share of learning opportunities. We might have missed them because now the business is going down under. And I want you, Mr. Mamabolo, to come and coach you. And if you are that person, whether it's in your business or it's in your personal life, I am an independent certified John Maxwell team coach, speaker, and trainer. And I am licensed to come and share with you the principles that my mentor John Maxwell has been using to help companies turn around. From his book, Sometimes You Win, Sometimes You Learn. So if you want me to coach you on that subject matter, if you want me to coach you, how do you learn and bounce back from the mistakes that you've been making in your life or the mistakes that you've made in your business, check the description of this episode and I'll share with you my contact, and you can contact me and I'll come and have a mastermind. We will come and we sit down, you and the company and I'll coach you, and we'll have a nice mastermind that we will be learning, checking back. What were the learning opportunities that you missed that are now making your company tank? Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for tuning in to part 3 of self-leadership, where you learned about learning opportunities. And next time on this podcast, on part 4, we are talking about value-based decision making. How do you make decisions in your life based on the values that you have in your life? Don't miss the upcoming episode. Thank you for tuning in. I'll see you in part 4 of the self-leadership series.